Lesson 42 from Lessons in the Catholic Faith, the third commandment. Remember that thou keep holy the Sabbath day. Just a little note on the previous lesson. I was it wasn't quite right, and they were saying like these aren't to use curse words or vulgar language, like not a sin at all. I'm not sure. Maybe there was a few words missing. I don't. That's not quite right. Generally, they are at least small sins, unless again you're trying completely to break the habit, and it's pretty much almost accidental when it comes out of your mouth. Then it's not a sin, but in itself, at least they're generally at least slight sins or offensive to others. Sometimes it's a sin of lack of charity, to use vulgar words around other people.
Mm.
Just a note on that. The third commandment, so keep holy the Lord's Day. Non-Catholics have more difficulty with this commandment than with any other. Many people outside the Catholic Church have a very lax conscience regarding Sunday worship. The average non-Catholic feels that he should go to church on Sunday, but he also feels that if he misses church for any slight reason, God will understand. For him, Sunday worship is not something he owes to God. When a non-Catholic goes to church, he hopes to receive God's blessing during the week, but if he does not go to church, he does not realize that he is being unjust to God, that he is not paying God his debt. The non-Catholic has little sense of obligation in this regard, and certainly no idea of mortal sin. Remember back on Ho'okupu Street, we befriended some of our neighbors. They had some young girls around my sister's age, and they had that attitude. It was so strange and funny to us. One of the girls was saying, "Well, sometimes we don't go to church on Sunday, and we just go in the hot tub and we play gospel music, and that's our Sunday worship." Yeah. Okay, I'm sure it
That's for
feels
them,
nice.
not for God.
What was that?
Mhm. That's for themselves, not for God.
Exactly. Yeah.
I should become a Protestant. That sounds nice.
I know it is nice. Like you feel good in the hot tub, if you like gospel music. Um, but again, a lot of that's the replacing of religion with the religious feeling. Oh, this feels good. And,
Mhm.
they're saying holy words from the Bible. So I got my holy fix for the week because I've heard, 100 times, Jesus loves you, or whatever. Yeah, that's an attitude a lot of people have. So in this lesson, try to understand your obligation to assist at Mass on Sundays and the 6 holy days of the year, 6 in the United States. Some other countries are different. Canada, Mexico, Germany. You just have to know if you're in those countries, then you should know what those days are. At the beginning of the course, you should have begun the practice of assisting at Mass every Sunday and the 6 holy days of obligation. If you have missed Mass a few times since the second lesson, you should defer your baptism until you have assisted at Mass regularly for at least 3 months. To receive instructions without practicing the simple obligations of Sunday Mass attendance and Friday abstinence from flesh meat is a serious error. A. Nature. The Bible and tradition impose on everyone the obligation of worshiping God. That was the very first lesson we did, right? On religion.
Mm.
Because all of us, Catholics and non-Catholics alike, are creatures of God, all of us are made by God, we have a serious obligation to worship God. The Bible and tradition tell us that we must worship God publicly. It is a mortal sin to miss Mass through our own fault on Sunday or on a holy day of obligation. So it's a serious thing, it's not a light matter.
Mhm.
B. The days on which you must attend Mass, Sundays and holy days. Too often the new Catholic accepts the obligation of Sunday worship, but does not see clearly the obligation of Mass on holy days. It is a mortal sin to miss Mass on Sundays or holy days through your own fault. There are 58 days of obligation, 52 Sundays, and 6 holy days. The 6 holy days are December 8th, That's today, Immaculate Conception of Our Lady. December, who's the patroness of the United States. December 25th, Christmas Day, of course. January 1st, Circumcision of Our Lord, Octave Day of Christmas. Ascension Thursday, which is always 40 days after Easter Sunday. August 15th, the Assumption of Our Lady into Heaven. And November 1st, when I was there in Hawaii, which is the Feast of All Saints. If you do not seriously intend to assist at Mass 58 days a year, do not enter the Catholic Church at this time. Wait until you are attending Mass regularly. Even if you have a valid excuse for not attending Mass during the course of these instructions, the priest will probably ask you to delay your baptism until you get in the habit of assisting at Holy Mass.
Father Moylan, is
Yes.
assist in this context just another way of saying um to go, or
Yeah,
is
to
it actually
attend, to
something
pray
more
there.
to
Yeah.
attend? Okay.
They use the word assist, I suppose, because if we're just there physically and our minds are completely not paying attention to anything going on or not praying to God, you can't really be said to assist Mass. So technically speaking, if
Right.
you were at Mass and your mind was completely somewhere else the whole time, you didn't like avert to Mass at all or praying to God, it would be equivalent to not attending Mass at all.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
Because if we're not,
Just making sure.
obviously we all have distractions, but if we're not there with the intention to worship God and to pray, and God doesn't want us, our physical presence, it doesn't mean that much. Our hearts and minds have to be there as well.
Hmm. Okay. Just making sure because I wasn't sure because I know there's a process for like the catechumens in more of a traditional setting when you're converting, where you do kind of help with certain duties. Um, and I don't know. The most I ever
Right,
did was bring a dish if we were going to have food after mass.
right. Or bring flowers, or like my brother Jerome serving at Mass. That's more
Yeah.
direct assistance at Mass.
Okay.
Um, that word just means attending and praying at Mass in this context.
Thank you.
C. Foolish excuses for missing Mass. We will list in this section some invalid excuses for missing Mass. Some of these excuses will sound very foolish, but they are actually used. Perhaps you would never think of using them, but they are listed for the benefit of other readers. These are common excuses. I'm not feeling too well, I have a headache. I have cold cramps, I'm not feeling up to par. Answer, you are not really sick. Get out of bed and go to Mass, and you will feel better. Or my clothes aren't good enough, my clothes are at the cleaners, my shoes are in the repair shop. Answer, neither God nor the priest nor the people care about the condition of your clothes. In this case, go to Mass in your old clothes. I mean, Mass, the church is for the poor as well as for the rich. In the old days, sometimes people had one set of clothes. They have to go to Mass in that.
Hmm.
I work
Your
hard.
family, when the lava took all their stuff, they had to just get like redemption center and gifts
This
from
is true.
friends.
Yep, very true. And obviously, if we can, we should dress in better clothes for Sunday, especially for Sunday worship. That's always been a thing Christians have done to respect, out of respect for God. Um, but again, to be overly worried about that is not good either. Another excuse, I work hard on Saturday or Saturday night. I'm tired because of my work. Answer, other people were tired too, but they went to Mass. Be right back.
Okay. You're
Relatives
going to
came.
mass. Oh,
Oh, sorry, what was that?
welcome back. No, I was just gonna ask Sean if he was doing the later mass, and what time it was out there.
Oh, it's going to be at 6:30 tonight.
Oh, it's
It's good they have
yeah.
that. because a lot of people during the week, again, the state doesn't respect the holy days obligations, so people have to work, but at least they can go to mass after work.
It's
Yeah.
somewhat similar to what we have with Father Portugal, like a later mass.
Right. Obviously, later mass in Hawaii is usually just because of his travel schedule.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I have a later mass tonight too for people who can't make it to the early mass.
That's wonderful.
Another excuse. Relatives came in from out of town. I was visiting in another state. Answer. These are certainly not good reasons. Another excuse. I have no money for the collection. Answer. This is an insult to the church and to priests. You don't need money to assist at mass. These are foolish excuses that should not even be mentioned by intelligent people. It is a serious mistake to baptize a person who has not developed the habit of assisting at mass. If he does not have the habit of assisting at mass before baptism, he will most likely not have it afterwards. By baptizing him, we would do him a real injustice. We make him wait for baptism until he assists at Mass regularly. For catechumens who are, no, they should have obviously if they can't practice certain fundamentals of the faith, then there's not tons of hope that they will do so regularly after baptism. D. Valid reasons for missing Mass. There is only one rule to remember. If the inconvenience that keeps you from Mass on Sunday would keep you from your job on Monday, you are excused. The following excuses are generally valid. If you are so sick that you would stay home from work on a working day, then it is not a sin to miss Mass on Sunday. If you are working during all the hours when Mass is said on Sunday, it is not a sin to miss Mass. If it is possible to attend Mass while still working on a Sunday, it is a sin to omit Mass. Some people have to work on Sunday from the nature of their jobs, like policemen, nurses, ER doctors. Um, so sometimes their schedule doesn't allow for Mass. That's a legitimate excuse. Unfortunately, again, because most companies and state law does not respect church law, people have to do jobs that require them to work on Sunday, otherwise they would not be able to provide for their family. So they're legitimately excused, but they should still, I always try to suggest them to go to the mass during the week if they can on a free day, so their soul doesn't hunger and starve too much. If the Catholic Church is so far away that it is very difficult to go to mass, then it is not a sin. General rule is if the traveling time takes over an hour, you're excused. An hour, whether it be by, whatever means of travel. United States, it's usually by car. In the olden days, it would be on foot many times. But if it's over an hour, that's a legitimate excusing reason. Although I know people who have made many sacrifices and travel regularly over an hour or hour and a half one way to attend Mass, which is very commendable. If you are caring for a sick person and cannot get anyone else to take your place for an hour on Sunday morning, it is not a sin to fail to go to Mass. That happens, of course. People get sick, especially if you're a parent and you have sick kids. E. Parents have a grave obligation to see that their children assist at Mass regularly. Parents sin gravely by telling the child, 7 years or older, to sleep, saying, "You are tired, sister won't know," or "It's vacation time, you don't have to go to Mass." Vacation doesn't excuse you from Mass either, generally. If there's one, again, within an hour travel distance, travel time. Parents, so once the child reaches the age of reason, a Catholic child, then that child also has the obligation to attend Mass every Sunday. Parents who do not attend Mass also sin gravely by giving the children bad example. Such parents destroy the training given by the Catholic school. If the parents are going to act this way, they should take their children out of the Catholic school. These parents are not playing fair with the teachers who give their lives for the religious training of the children. They are not playing fair with the pastor who lets them use the school and with the Catholic people who give their money for the maintenance of that school. That can happen a lot in certain Catholic schools. Um, some Catholics are quite lax and they think, well, I send them to Catholic school, the sisters or the priest, they'll take care of everything, and they neglect to understand that it's their responsibility first and foremost to raise their children as Catholic. And the Catholic school is meant to assist in that, but not to replace good parenting.
Mm.
I think that was done a lot before Vatican II as well. A lot of people who identified as Catholics but didn't really live very good Catholic lives, and they sent their children to Catholic school, but themselves didn't practice the faith much. I knew a man who passed away last year, grew up in the 60s, and his parents were like that. They sent him to good Catholic schools, but they themselves rarely went to Mass, maybe Easter and Christmas.
Mm.
And with such bad example, he eventually fell away from the faith too for a long time. And then Vatican II didn't help him at all. When he tried to come back, he didn't recognize the church at all. It was so different than from what he was used to when he grew up.
Oh,
Yeah, then finally he found, the traditional Latin Mass.
thank goodness.
F. Tardiness at Mass. If you are very late for Mass, it is a big sin. If you are only a little late, it is a small sin. Of course, if it's your own fault. If you come in after the gospel, like if you miss the offertory, you commit a serious sin. You should wait for the next Mass or go home and come for another Mass. So the essential parts of the Mass are the offertory, the and it shows you like in that red book or the small blue booklet that we have, my parents have in the offertory, consecration, and communion section. Those are if you want to call it, the essential parts of the Mass. That if you miss those through your own fault, it's the same thing as missing at Mass.
Okay.
The pastor and priest,
Grievous fault. Sorry.
what was that?
You just said through your own fault, and I just thought my grievous fault. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's not your fault, traffic is late or you couldn't find your shoes or something. Um, Always a good idea to try to get there a few minutes before Mass too, just to pray or to make sure, that you won't rush in at the last minute, that if anything does happen, like you can't find your keys, that gives you that extra buffer zone.
Hmm. And if there's anything that you need to go to confession for, it's the worst
Definitely.
thing to
Yes.
even consider partaking in mass. So well, I guess you could just sit back during communion, but still.
Right. But definitely if any mortal sins to try to confess it as soon as possible.
Hmm.
The pastor and the priest have good reason to be angry with adults who come in late and give bad example to our children. This is especially so if the excuse of coming late for Mass is an attempt to sit in the back of the church out of the sight of the priest and the altar. Yeah, you get that in big churches. You can often tell who are the lax Catholics. They come in very late, distracting everyone else, and the way they dress, the way they act, you can tell the teenage kids do not want to be there, sort of like sulking, and the boy's long hair is just covering his eyes. You're just like, okay, people, I know your heart's not here. You'd rather be home playing your video games or sleeping in or whatever. And it's a very bad example for sure. It's quite disedifying. And then they sit in the back of the church, just like hiding, like, oh, I have to be here, but Hopefully I'll hide from God a little bit, especially from the priest, at the very back of the church. Not that you can't sit in the back of the church, but those type of people will obviously try to sit in the back of the church and not come up to the front, especially if they come late. And then, of course, if they come late, they're not going to stay longer after Mass and extra prayers. They'll leave as soon as they can. Not very pleasing to God and not edifying for their neighbor at all. The other G, the other Sunday obligation or and holy day obligation, abstain from unnecessary manual work or servile work, work that was generally done by servants or slaves in the olden days.
Mhm.
God strictly forbids unnecessary manual work on Sunday. Don't be deceived by those who disregard the laws of God. God commanded the Jews to stone a man to death for working on the Sabbath in the Old Testament, Numbers 15:32 to 36. 6 days shalt thou labor and shalt do all thy works, but on the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord. Thou shalt do no work on it, nor thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy beast, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. This is the law of God. It still binds in the 21st century. We must not be lax. Many
So
Christians,
technically, employers shouldn't be making their employees work on this day
that
as
is also,
well. Not
yes.
just a personal thing, but yeah, a societal thing.
If you had a company that you were a CEO of and you make your workers work on Sunday, that's on your conscience too, for sure. Um, Unfortunately, most people don't care nowadays at all. And this
Hmm.
is one that's not talked about at all.
Money is their God.
hmm Back, it
Well,
wasn't so long ago that everything used to be closed on Sunday, even in this country.
I've also heard it from the mouths of some Protestants about just the subjectivity of the interpretation of the Sabbath day so that you can choose the Sabbath day that you want to have the day off on. And so some people use that as an excuse, or they go for the, oh, well, it was on Saturday before, so I'm going to make my Sabbath day on Saturday. And I'm not sure where that logic comes from, but
I don't know if I've heard that one so much. Obviously, the Seventh-day Adventists is their own Protestant sect, and they think Saturday should still be the Sabbath day. Whereas in the New Testament, it was changed to Sunday because of our Lord's resurrection on Sunday and because of Pentecost Sunday being on a Sunday. Then it was changed in the church to the first day of the week instead of the last day of the week. But they prefer to be more like the Jews of the Old Testament and keep the Saturday as Sabbath. Although, to their, how shall I say, benefit in a certain sense, I've seen some Seventh-day Adventists who were very strong about that belief and I admired how they respected it. Like there was one family we met a long time ago in Hawaii. In We actually first met them in Pahoa Health Food Store, which is a huge magnet for very hippie people, druggies, low class. And my family just noticed them, my mom and sister, because they stood out, young children, who looked well behaved, just dressed differently, well dressed well and such. So. I remember we invited them over to our house and it was a Saturday and we were having our garage sale and they were very strict. They're like, no, we don't buy anything. It's our holy day. And so they believed it and they held to it. I wish more so-called Christians and Catholics would imitate that observance, that stricter observance of the day that they keep as the Lord's Day. There was a holy priest, I think I read a book on his life, Père Lame. He was a French priest, similar to the Curé of Ars, and he lamented to the non-observance of the Lord's Day, and he said we really can't bring back Catholic culture until we bring back um, proper observance of the Lord's Day. So the only kind of work forbidden is unnecessary manual work. Manual work is done with the hands rather than with the mind. So, mowing the lawn, digging a ditch, building fences, painting houses, building houses, carpentry, that type of thing. A lot of heavy sewing, I would say. Um, Not so much, let's say, embroidery, which is more artistic. All those blue collar type of work, I guess you could call it nowadays. That's all manual work whenever it's not necessary. Sometimes it is, but like our Lord said, if your ass falls into a pit, would you not draw it out? That's obviously necessary. You have to feed your animals on a farm, certain things. But, we're not idiots too. We can plan things and we should plan out our week so that, we have food on Sunday. We don't have to go out shopping, that we harvest our crops on days that are not Sunday. And I just find it's sad too. And shopping now has become a very big thing too on Sunday, grocery shopping. It's like we live in the 21st century. We have refrigerators, we have freezers, we have canned food, we have processed food, we have preserved food. Is it that difficult to not go shopping on one day of the week? You don't have any food whatsoever in your house that you can't eat. Certain things should be open, obviously, on Sunday, gas stations and some small convenience stores for people traveling. Um, like, why should the big supermarkets have to be open or Dollar Tree? My brother got to work at Dollar Tree his first job, and I just found it pathetic. People can't wait to get in, almost clawing at the doors at 11 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday. They have to get the newest stuff, the newest sales. It's like everything's $1, and it's like, what do you have to at Dollar Tree on a Sunday morning? So many works of the body are necessary on Sunday and are not sinful. Obviously, we have to cook. Sometimes we have to clean up the house a little bit. It shouldn't be our main house cleaning day either, or laundry day. But we do have to do dishes. Some things are obviously necessary. Certain jobs, firemen and policemen, surgeons, ER workers must work on Sunday. Or perhaps your boss makes you work on Sunday and he would fire if you tried to not work on Sunday. But remember to try to go to Mass first. Some manual labor is necessary at home on Sunday, such as cooking, making the beds, and so forth. And we have to think about the mentality too. These laws are also good for us. I feel very sorry for retail workers, especially when they have those revolving schedules. It's very unsettling. You can't really plan. It's like you don't have one day off a week. That's definitely off. You could work on Sunday, you could work on this day. Your free days are sometimes Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, sometimes Sunday. It's quite stressful.
I never understood why that was somehow so normal too. You would think that the expectation around being able to have a consistent schedule would be easier for everyone involved, but that is so normal.
It's just greed. Even apart from God, God knows our nature though, of course, but just on a natural level, it's just stressful. I feel sorry for those retail type worker jobs. Um, it's not good at all. Not good, not healthy.
Mhm.
It's not good for just workers' rights either. God knows we need at least one day of rest because some people just work and work and work. Work is endless. That's the thing. Some people are just workaholics, and God doesn't want that either. He's like, come and rest a little bit. Come and spend some time with me. It's just like spouses. You know what? We just need to have some us time. We need to have some downtime and work on our relationship or just enjoy each other. So God wants it, number one for himself. Hey, just sit with me, worship me, talk with me, spend some time with me. One day out of seven, it's not a lot. And also
Mhm.
give yourself some rest because I know you need it. I believe the French Rev in under the French Revolution, when the revolutionaries got a hold of the country, they tried to implement a 10-day week. So they had to work like 9 days a week, and then the 10th day they would rest. And
Wow.
it was so stressful that it didn't last very long at all. The human body could not take it. So they had to go back to the 7-day week. If manual work is not necessary on Sunday, it is a serious sin to engage in it. For example, washing, especially in the olden days when you had to go down to the river and wash things by hand, or sewing, I would say, if it's longer sewing, like making a dress or something, if it's putting on a button, that's not a big deal.
Mhm.
Spend several hours, making something, sewing, mowing lawns, you see that a lot too. It's like it's not a grave necessity. No one's gonna die. You're not gonna lose tons of money. No one's gonna get sick if your grass grows another week, even, or another few days. It really does not need to be done on Sunday. Mental labor is not forbidden. Studying or writing are not sinful because they are not manual. They require more of the mind than the body. So the liberal arts, painting, artistic painting, um, teaching, studying, those are not forbidden. H, recreation on Sunday. Any recreation that is not sinful on Monday is not sinful on Sunday. Examples are fishing, playing ball, decent dancing, movies, hiking, so forth. But be sure to go to Mass first. Any recreation that takes the place of Mass on Sunday is sinful. It's regrettable. A lot of, like in the summer, the soccer, they're out in the fields with their kids very early in the morning. Did they go to Mass? Maybe not. Maybe they canceled Mass because they had a soccer game. That's not good at all. My dad was always against organized sports on Sunday, and I have to agree with him because if it's just a family thing, let's go to the park and a more relaxed thing. But if it becomes an organized thing, it really becomes like a necessity, a job, and it definitely takes away from the relaxing part of it, and it definitely takes away from giving God first on Sunday. I make a real effort to make Sunday the Lord's Day. Try to remember that Sunday, all of Sunday is the Lord's Day. It's not just a day off. Some people make it the devil's day by committing sins on Sunday, like getting drunk, simply because they're not busy at work. You have occupied all week with material and worldly care. Sunday is the day to put your mind on your soul lest you lose it. Do something for your soul on Sunday. Receive Holy Communion. Go to parish affairs on Sunday if there are any in your parish. Tune into some Catholic radio, television, or internet program at home, especially when you don't have Mass. Bring home Catholic newspapers from Mass and read them. Read the Bible at home. Many people find an hour in the afternoon to go back to the church to pray and meditate and say the Rosary or the Stations of the Cross, or in churches where they would have it, attend Vespers, which would be the sung, chanted evening office of the Catholic Church. I presume that happens where you go to Mass, Sean, with the seminarians.
I would imagine so, yeah.
At least they should be, if it's a seminary for sure.
Yeah.
And it's also a prime day too to do good works. Those type of things would be in place. If you have a sick friend, bring them a meal or go visit them. That's very good things to do, charitable works on Sunday, as our Lord did, right? When he healed the sick on the Lord's Day. The hypocritical Pharisees accused him of violating the Sabbath because he did good things for the poor and the sick and the blind on Sunday. Um, Christ was telling us with that that's another way to obviously serve God and our neighbor by doing good works, even or especially on the Sabbath day. All right, questions for review of this lesson. What kind of sin is it to miss Mass on a Sunday without good reason?
A serious sin.
Correct.
I imagine serious implies mortal.
Same thing, yeah. Serious or
Okay. Serious
mortal,
is
yeah.
mortal. Okay.
Destroys the life of grace in your soul. Condemns you to hell if not repented of. What kind of sin is it to miss Mass on the 6 holy days of obligation?
That would also become a sin if you're able to go to those masses.
Correct. Well, big sin or serious sin or venial sin?
I think it's serious.
Correct. They're just like Sundays.
Mhm.
In the olden days, and even actually some countries in Europe still they still have a lot of these holy days or feast days. In the Middle Ages too, it was a good thing because most people had to do a lot of hard manual labor, farming, and a lot of blue collar. There weren't a whole lot of sit down, comfy jobs. So these saints' days, these big feasts enforced by the Catholic state, gave everyone a chance to relax and worship God first of all, but also to dance or have feasting and party and just relax, take a break from the hardships of life. I was watching a YouTube video some months ago. Some, I don't know, American YouTuber was bought a little house or something, I think, in somewhere in Eastern European country, and he just marveled. He said, "How I don't know how they get anything done here. They're always like having a feast here. This saint this weekend, that saint another week, another saint, another saint." So I was happy to hear that because at least that country was still celebrating those saints' days.
Mhm.
I mean, again, the church encourages hard work for sure, but again, work is endless as long as we're on the earth. So it's important that we have break times, especially times for our soul. Give some examples of a good reason that you could, or an excusing reason to miss Mass on a Sunday or holy day of obligation.
Mm. So it's not possible if there isn't a priest on the island.
Yes, that is for sure.
So
Yeah,
that's the one that I relate to a lot. But there's also like sick family members or sick children that the times when you yourself are sick enough that you wouldn't be able to go to work genuinely. Um, Obviously emergencies and if your house is on fire and you need to take care
right,
of that or yeah, major life events.
right. Um, Dangerous driving conditions, and like here in the wintertime,
Dangerous
sometimes
children.
you don't want to be on the road because it's just really slick. Also, if you could push it if you're sick, but you don't want to get other people infected, that would be a charitable thing to not come to church, get other people sick.
Thoughtful.
Yeah, because some people can push it a lot even when they're sick, but they should think about others as well. Maybe it's not a good idea. You might infect other people.
Yeah, if it's a contagious sickness for sure.
Mhm. Is it a sin to be late for Mass?
If you are late enough that you miss the offertory, if you're past that, then it's best to just not go and go to a weekday mass or a later mass.
Yeah, so if it's your fault, you're basically not attending Mass at all. It's the same as if you didn't attend Mass. But if
Mhm.
you are late, but you come any time before the offertory, then it's a venial sin.
Okay, so it's a venial if it's before the offertory, and it's mortal if it's after.
Correct. Of course, if it's your own fault that you're late. Is it a
Mhm.
sin to not pay attention to the sermon given by the priest at Mass?
Um, Shoot, this one is an interesting one because I think we're all supposed to unite our minds and hearts and, like you said, like assist, like really be present.
Hmm.
And so I think you are supposed to be present, but I know some people like will spend some time doing their own prayers. So I'm actually not sure on that one exactly from personal experience.
Okay. In general, it's a venial sin if you're not paying attention at all to the sermon given by the priest. Um, it's not a mortal sin, definitely not. The sermon is not technically part of the Mass. So I just preached that the other day too. And like if you really have to use the restroom, better if you go before or afterwards. But if you really have to, it's better to actually go during the sermon. I know it's uncomfortable because the priest can see you, but it would be better to go during the sermon because it's not technically part of the Mass. Um, in general, to not pay attention at all, to be distracted during a sermon would be a venial sin. Um, I'll try to divorce from the maybe the present case in Hawaii. It's sometimes it'd be hard to pay attention when the sermons are just really bad. Are right, but some people in the old days, for instance, like they would pray the rosary during the sermon as well, quietly, of course, but in a sense, multitasking, which would be okay too, or a good thing, depending. I know some people who take notes during sermons, and sometimes I've done that too, especially when you're tired, and it's pretty hard to not fall asleep, especially with voices like mine, I'm told. Sometimes it lulls people to sleep that hour of Sunday morning.
It's relaxing to
Yeah.
listen to at times. Yeah.
And you can't do much besides pinch yourselves. Now you can stand up and walk around or turn on music or, do jumping jacks. So I've
Hmm.
suggested to people take out a note and pen and take notes. That'll help you pay attention and stay awake. Because it's hard when you just
Good point.
when it's solely your mind, it's really hard to, unless you have very strong power, it can be hard not to nod off at times.
Hmm.
Are recreational activities allowed on Sunday?
Um, yes, as long as they do not get in the way of Mass, it's something that Mass needs to come first. And then, as long as you did attend Mass, if able, then yeah, those things are good.
Yes, correct. Um, right. It just shouldn't be, some people say it shouldn't be anything that's too exhausting, it should be also recreation. You know, if you play sports all day that you're just exhausted, that's not really in the spirit of Sunday.
Hmm.
Okay, well, that is all for the third commandment.